Welcome to episode 322 of In Touch with iOS, the show that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV Vision Pro, and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and I have a guest this week. Jill McKinley is back. How you doing, Jill?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here and great to see all of you.
Yes, it's so great to have you back. And Ben Roethig is here as well. How you doing, Ben?
I am doing fantastic. Ready to talk some Apple tonight.
Yeah, well, good amount to talk about, as well as some great stuff to talk about with Marty Jencius. How you doing, Marty?
I'm doing good. I realized today I got a birthday coming up, so I better start buying myself some presents.
I think you did already, if I'm not mistaken. It was my birthday on Sunday, so I got my good stuff.
Happy birthday!
Yeah. So,
but things are okay. Things are good. It's Thursday night. I'm great. It's great. I love to be with this group of folks to have fun and talk about tech stuff.
And we miss you, Jeff Cameron. He's not here this week, but he's here in spirit. So he's having some good fun.
Yes, he got eaten by his Colorado mountain lions.
That was it. That was definitely it. So we got the usual topics we hit every week. In touch with Vision Pro, beta. We'll have a little In Touch with Mac and lots of news, a fair amount of news we'll talk about here. But, as Marty and I dive in every week and have you guys jump in, we talk about Vision Pro. This week, beta number 2 of Vision OS 2.2 is released to developers with, of course, the ultra-wide Mac virtual display we have been talking about. They released it this past week for testing purposes, a little over a week after the first beta. You can install it and go through the software updates section in the settings app, and it installs pretty easily, which I'm happy to say. Basically the same thing. I really didn't notice any different. The Mac Virtual Display allows you to be connected to a Mac with a Vision Pro, serving it as a display for the machine. Interestingly, I tried a little different things since I've got my 2 Mac Minis, and one of the Mac Minis is on a monitor that I have to flip between, so I wanted to see, okay, it's not connected right now to a screen, so let me connect to that Mac Mini, and it worked flawlessly. So I was able to look at my Mac Mini model that I'm going to be using as my second production machine. So anything new that I'm missing, that Marty, you think that we missed? I think it's just that.
Whenever a new beta comes out, I try to do some sort of AI search to find out what's going on. Yep. And even going to the developer notes on it, basically the only thing they came up with that was new was that there was a statement focus section closed parentheses modifier that needed to be fixed for developers. It wasn't, that line was not working right. They fixed it. That's all I could find that was new in the beta. Couple of really cool things, though. Final Cut Pro now has capabilities for spatial editing, and Vimeo seems to have stepped up their game. I say that because Eric has been sending me samples all day long through messaging me, and I'm like, this is great. I tried it out, and I said, what did you do? And he's like, well, Final Cut Pro's got this now. And so we'll probably talk more about that on the show on Monday. Because we've been trying to crack that nut for a while in terms of how to really get into editing and seeing spatial video. So
great. I'm gonna make sure we have that in the show notes that we talked about that. And yes, I'm looking forward to doing that. We'll talk about the Final Cut Pro here in a little bit here. But one thing I will mention is that Apple did release a new video that it actually released today as we record this. This is the immersive music experience from the Weeknd, and it is a interesting video. I have not had a chance. I saw the trailer, but I did not see it in full just yet. But it is a, like I said, an immersive music experience that features the band filmed in ultra high resolution 180-degree Apple immersive video with spatial audio. And the music experience is designed to put the viewers in the center of the action, according to Apple. Open Hearts invites viewers on a journey alongside the Weeknd as he walks through a surreal cityscape inspired by downtown Los Angeles. And this looks like it's going to be another cool video to watch, and it's even giving us more view into the future to what is going to be going on with this. I'll ask Ben, since you're the music aficionado, what do you think of this?
First off, if they did this for the Metallica M72 core, that might actually get me to get a Apple Vision Pro.
Well, they might.
But yeah, but I have to say, this is really getting into the core, what this thing can do for at the consumer level.
Yep.
I mean, we're still years away from this being a mainstream device, but I mean, you got to start building that library now. You got to start making not just demos, but actionable content. And this is it. It allows you to be at that concert in a way that you can't on any other device. And this is going to change how content is consumed.
Oh, yeah.
When it doesn't cost us the amount of a small moon.
Well, Jill, what's your thoughts? I know you don't have dabbled too much in Vision Pro discussion, but what do you think of this?
Well, I got a chance to try it and I can see how beautiful the screen is. And what I do in Oculus is a majority of those kinds of things, not music, but I got to see the set of Picard and walk around on the set of Star Trek. I got to do a lot of experiences like this on ISS, in Oculus. If these types of things start coming out on the beautiful resolution that Apple Vision has, that would be worth it to me. That would be the final thing for me too. So I'm excited to see those types of experiences happen.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Marty? Have you tried this yet?
I've seen the trailer for the Weeknd. It's not really kind of my cut of stuff.
Right.
However, in the the same article talks about Concert for One happening, which is a British songwriter Ray, similar to the Alicia Keys video. And then they're looking at an adventure, which is the free diving diver attempting their best record for the longest distance under the ice. That could be a little bit claustrophobic, I think, for some folks to experience. But they're doing this immersive video, and I think it's pretty cool.
I'm loving it. Yeah, they've had a number we've talked about samples, and I'm looking forward to more. This is just giving us another taste of what's to come with this. This is an older article, but I found this to be pretty interesting. How much does it cost for Apple to make a Vision Pro headset? Of course, we talked about the price. Everybody complains about it. Yeah, it starts at $3,500. It's the top end of the AR/VR market for headsets, but the significant portion of the cost is down to the device's premium bill of materials, which is thought to come to about $1,500. According to a research company here, the components used in the Vision Pro are estimated to cost Apple a total of $1,542. The most expensive component is said to be the 1.25-inch micro LED display that's inside the headset, one for each eye. Displays provide a total of 23 million pixels, which Apple says it's more pixels than a 4K TV. And they estimate that Apple pays about $228 for each display, or $456 per headset. Second most expensive component is the M2 and R1 chips. That's the M2 is the main processor, which was the same chip in the 2022 MacBook Air. And the M2 is processing the content, running Vision OS, executing the computer vision algorithms, and providing graphical content. Then the last chip is the R1 chip, which is responsible for all the information coming from the cameras, the sensors, and the microphone. That total cost is around $240. So as you keep going down and just looking at what it does cost to build this device, but you know what? Apple still, as always, has a really amazing margins. If that's what it's costing them. So, go ahead, Ben.
Maybe not. Do you want to know what's not included in these types of articles? Engineering, marketing.
That's true.
Shipping, retail. You get a lot of system builders looking at things, but they don't have business overhead.
Right.
They don't have to literally design the device. They don't have to pay manufacturing. Let's get out of there. To set this thing up for production. That takes a lot of money. In fact, the device itself in parts might actually be the cheapest part of the Vision Pro. And I would not be surprised if Apple is actually losing money on this.
Possibly. But what do you think, Marty?
I think Meta, it's well known, Meta's losing money off their devices. They continue to sell them at a loss overall. When I read these articles, I think there's some guy who wrote this article and is thinking, why can't they just put all the parts in plastic bags in a garage and ship them out to folks, and then they can make their own Vision Pro? Along with what Ben is saying, our research and development, and that doesn't stop because now they're looking at other ways in which they can do devices. So, there's a lot that they don't talk about in this article. They just broke one apart and add up the cost of the pieces and say, why can't it be cheaper?
Yeah, that's true. How about you, Ben? I mean, Jill?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, I've worked in the, computer industry for the last 30 years, and the price of a thing is not the thing. It's I'm a support person, and if you have to replace them because one of them was defective, there's another one out the door. So there are so many costs involved in producing anything that article can't be anywhere near accurate.
Yeah.
I mean, it's accurate probably for the parts, but it's not accurate for what it costs to make a thing.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I'm also going to post a link in the show notes for the teardown that iFixit did, a number of months ago, just to kind of see, what's in it and what it's all about. So that's interesting. And the question is, why those fake eyes look so weird? So, of course, this was reviewed back in February earlier this year, so that they didn't have what the latest Vision OS version is. So, things have changed. But it's just interesting to see, where we've come in 6 months here, 6 to 8 months here since it was released. So, thought it was a kind of cool, quick discussion about it. So, one other story here. This was from Mark Gurman. Apple's Vision Pro 2 is on track for release between the fall of 2025 and spring of 2026. He talked about this just this past week. That is going to be during that time. They're aligning from previous reports that were slightly less optimistic. Of course, as a refresher, supply chain analyst Ming Chico reported the week before, that Apple has seriously delayed its plans for the cheaper Vision Pro headset, the Vision headset, and would instead be focusing on a second generation. So it's likely to see where that goes with that particular device, and if that's going to come out. I'm sure they're going to have even faster chips, like maybe even an M5 they could put in it. Who knows? What do you think, Marty?
Having just purchased one of these, and you too, David, the idea of them coming out with a new headset with a faster chip, just, if I can get a good buyback on it, maybe I'll sell it to Ben when the Metallica video comes out. But
there you go. Yeah.
But there has to be a reason for them to jump to M5 that's about the operating system and about its capabilities.
Right.
To make it a sellable amount. Even all the articles that I've read on this, it's like, it's basically going to be the same headset, the same heavy, the same clunky as the new one, or as the current one. If it comes out, there's not going to be a lot of change in the engineering of it, at least in this version. And the 2027 version, I really think is going to be smart glasses. It's not going to be anything like the current, and nothing like the capabilities of the current or even the next gen of Vision Pro. I really think that what they're talking about in 2027 is a different wearable.
Yeah. No, I mean, there has been some rumors about the glasses that's coming, and I think Meta already has something with the Ray-Bans that they have out, and that definitely is a way of the future because it's small and lightweight. That's the thing. This is a pretty heavy device that goes, so there's more of a mask on your head as opposed to glasses. So, thoughts on this, Ben?
Well, first, if anybody's looking for AR glasses, not just cameras and speakers that mount on your head, I think you're looking closer to 2037 than 2027 for technology. But if anybody's wondering why they're waiting a full 3 processor generations to replace the current AVP, look at the old Mac Pro, which they only updated once every few years. You have a very limited market for this.
You do.
The people that you're probably going to sell them to are the ones that have the M2 AVP. So it's a very expensive product. So you have to be able to sell enough of them to make sense financially.
That does make sense. Last word. What do you think on this, Jill?
I'm excited to see what comes next. I would be interested too in glasses as well. But one of the things that makes me sold on Apple versus anything else, like Facebook's version, is the security and privacy. I don't trust that my security and privacy are being upheld by the other companies. And so if Apple came up with glasses or something else, I'm definitely interested in that. But yes, this is going to be a slow haul.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it is. So again, it's rumors. So I thought it was just an interesting discussion. See where things may go. It's always fun to have all those speculations. So, all right, so let's move on to beta this week. iOS 18.2 beta 3 has released this week, as well as on iPad OS and Mac OS Tall Trees, Sequoia, on 15.2 for testing purposes. It was a week after the second betas. So, and then the third betas for iPhone, iPad, and Mac operating system updates have also seeded the second betas of watchOS, tvOS, and HomePod software. Yeah, I'm going to avoid HomePod software. Thank you very much until that's 100% here. So, with today's updates, Apple continues the testing phase of Apple Intelligence. And I know, Marty, you've had some interesting comments about Image Playground that is not up to par, right?
Hasn't gotten any better for me. I stopped using humans and I started using dogs. And, my son has a nice, small, little black dog. And so I adopted or brought in one of the pictures for Image Playground, and it turned it into a white and brown spotted dog in Image Playground. It was like so weird. It couldn't even get the coloration right. I'm not impressed with Image Playground. The other stuff is pretty cool, particularly the writing tools and the other components like the image erase, pretty good too. But the Genmoji and the Image Playground is just not something that's kicking me right now.
Yep. Any other thoughts from the rest of the panel on this?
I am up to date. I did go out and buy the Mac Mini, like I said last time I would, and got it directly on the betas and got a chance to play with Playgrounds. And you're right. I've used avatar apps to make really good AI avatars, and they're fantastic. And this is not fantastic, but it's a start. It's a beginning, and so it'll get there eventually. But yes, it's a toy right now more than anything, and the other features are great. I am very into ChatGPT, as I've mentioned before, and so getting it integrated into my Apple devices. Very excited about that. Yeah.
So what new things are really have we talked about so far that you can do with 18.2? One of the things is a new feature that's going to be out there is sharing AirTag location with a trusted friend or an airline. The Find My now has a new option to share item location with an airline or trusted person that can help you locate something you've misplaced. Choose the share item location option, creates a link that lets someone view the location of a lost item when they open the link. The link can be opened on a non-Apple device, so an iPhone or a Mac is not required to provide someone this link location. Links expire about a week after you've reunited with your lost item. More than 15 airlines are going to offer the feature, which will be integrated into each airline's customer service process. That's amazing for lost and mishandled delayed luggage, according to Apple. And in addition to items equipped with an AirTag, the feature will also work with third-party accessories, item trackers that support the Find My network. That is amazing, and that gives you even more reason that you should have an AirTag in or on your luggage when you travel. Always.
Or just get the Find My luggage.
Yeah, just have the one that has my backpack's got one right built into it. I don't need to have to add it, so it's just added to my Find My.
Yeah, I spent a night on the phone trying to tell an agent, I see my bag sitting at gate 25. You told me you're getting it on the airplane. I see the airplane has taken off and my bag is still at gate. He goes, well, there's no way you could see that, ma'am. And I'm like, no, I literally see my bag sitting there at gate 25. Put it on the plane.
AirTag. Oh my gosh. Yeah, these
I I started playing with AirTags and luggage when they first came out, and I didn't have a good connector or, for the AirTag.
Right.
And apparently it came off somewhere, in the luggage things that go round and round in the back. And for months I tracked it. It was still active, and it showed that tag was back somewhere in the bowels of luggage control. And I never wanted to shut it off. I guess I could have just made it go dead, but no, I just like the idea that if it fell off, it's still there. My luggage came through without any problem. But I learned to get more secure attachments for AirTags now.
Also, I would put them inside, because if I was going to steal your luggage and I saw it had an AirTag on it, the first thing I would do was chuck it and throw it into the carousel. Let it go round and round for the next 30 years.
Yeah. So there's a whole long list of items. I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but another thing I mentioned is easily managing default apps. There's a default app section that can be found in the settings app, which can be used to manage your default apps for the iPhone. This feature was that Apple promised would be coming to the European Union, but it looks like it's going to be available worldwide based on the beta. So that's interesting. And
thank you, EU.
Yeah, thank you, EU. Generating images using prompts. The image playground, of course, which we're still just talked about. You're actually going to be able to generate an image by providing a prompt. And Apple offers suggested categories like themes, locations, and costumes to inspire creativity. Like, again, we talked about it. It's got a long way to go when it comes to that, but interesting new feature. Getting an iPhone charge time estimate. Some code has just been discovered that you will be able to get notified about how long it will take for your iPhone to reach a specific charge level. This would be built upon iOS 18's existing battery health capabilities, which includes new options to limit the maximum charging to 80%, 85, 90, or 95% to help preserve long-term battery life. iOS 18 now alerts users when their iPhone is being charged with slower than optimal charger. I know someone has attempted to try to charge their iPhone with that wonderful little cube 5-watt charger that came with an iPhone years and years ago. It's going to take Apple absolutely forever to charge your iPhone if you're using that bad boy. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of interesting things up to come with this. So I'm excited that this continues to evolve, and we'll definitely find more things as it comes out here. So it's definitely going to be an interesting thing here. Another thing is what iOS 18 has done is 18.2 has made your AirPods more powerful. Now it has the hearing aid tests we've talked about and hearing protection features. Apple's next new update can be more transformative thanks to a key Apple Intelligence upgrade. And what's going to do? You're going to now do ChatGPT via Siri as a game changer. Apple Intelligence will now be expanded to being able to utilize your AirPods doing that. ChatGPT is going to work with the AirPods, giving a good experience with it as well. So there's some good future with the AirPods, and I'm excited to see where that goes. So, and Apple just did release a firmware for the AirPods Pro 2 this week. And of course, you have no idea what they released because they're always good at not telling you much other than the fact that it's an update since 18.1's hearing health features. It includes hearing aid, hearing test, and hearing protection. The build is there, but again, you don't know too much as far as what you can expect in the firmware upgrade. And of course, you can't force it to be installed. So that always makes it an interesting thing to see where that goes. So, and also we have another interesting topic I wanted to hit here. And this is more or less a rumor here, of course. Again, Mark Gurman reported that this past week that Apple could manufacture smart home cameras and other devices that would connect to its HomeKit smart home platform that would tie in with the planned smart home command center that could come out as soon as next year. A good example is Apple could create an indoor security camera that could be used as a baby monitor, which is in line with a report that was heard, as well as designing a smart home camera that would be manufactured in 2026. So it could be interesting to see what Apple does with these types of devices to compete with Amazon's Ring and Google's Nest. So what do you think on this? I wish Jeff was here because he would definitely give us some good insights in the HomeKit. So, but how about you, Ben? What do you think?
This could be something very good, especially if it's also designed to sit on top of your TV and work as a video camera for FaceTime and stuff on your Apple TV.
Yep.
I mean, there's reason to be rather dubious when it comes to Apple's commitment to the smart home, but we'll see what we'll see when it comes out, if it comes out.
Okay. How about you, Joe? What do you think?
I'm big into home automation. I do a lot with it, and I'm ready to get out of the Ring business, to be honest. And so I was going to purchase a brand new set of devices, and then I saw this article and decided to back off. I would love to see it get integrated with, maybe having multiple responses to the doorbell, maybe not detecting the bus outside my house as a person. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that would be great with this. And just that trust factor again is there. I trust Apple more than I trust all the other companies to keep my security. And so I'm excited about this. I'm holding off now. Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Marty?
I've got a couple of competing things that makes it difficult for me to do home devices. First of all, HomeKit just does not connect for me. Okay. And it's just kind of, with these devices that are supposedly HomeKit compatible, it's just kind of a mess to set up. Then I also have a partner who walks around the house and turns every switch off. So the buy-in for it's real difficult for me. If these devices are the only devices that actually work for me with HomeKit, I might consider an Apple-made camera to work with or security system to work with Apple HomeKit. I might consider getting those and giving it another shot.
Okay, absolutely. So, all right, let's move on to In Touch with Mac this week. I'm excited because I think the 3 or 4 of us have new Mac Minis. And what? So I did talk about this last week. I did purchase a Mac Mini, the M4 Pro, as a secondary device that's going to be used as a daily driver, as a backup daily driver, maybe a primary. I'm going to be interested to see what I can do here because I want to do some comparisons between the MacBook Pro M1 Pro I have 16-inch and see where that goes. And then I have a base model, the M4, that I'm using for beta testing and such. So got super good deals. I had, as I did mention last week, I had 2 older Mac Minis. I traded both of those in and got a nice credit on it, as well as a nice gift card for the birthday. So it turned out to be a good purchase and not too terribly expensive. So overall, I think it's just an amazingly great device here. I just happen to have it here in my hand because I have the machine right in front of me here, and I'll tell you, the size of this Mac is just insane. What Apple has done to compact it into one box. I'm feeling it now. I'm leaving this on all the time, and it doesn't get very warm. I've yet to hear the fan, and I've taxed it pretty good here. So nice thing is it's got the 3 Thunderbolt 5 ports on the front. On the back, and then 2 USB-C ports on the front, which is really nice. And looking forward already, the Thunderbolt 5 devices have been announced. OWC has already got a new dock that they're about to release. I think it's on pre-order right now. I don't know. I'll have to hold back because I got way too many docks sitting in front of me right now. But the Thunderbolt 5 drives, I'm going to wait for a bit because the pricing is pretty high. But the speeds of transferring data is just insane. So you got the gigabit Ethernet, which is nice, and then you also have the HDMI connection in it, and then plus you can, using the Thunderbolt ports, you can plug in a monitor with that capability, and the video works pretty seamless. Everybody complaining about the power button on the bottom. Yeah, it's not a big deal. Give it up. Don't worry about it.
Whoever uses their power button,
right? You got to leave.
This is in 1995.
Yeah. So what? So what do you have to do here? I have it here. If it's sitting on my desk, okay, I got to reach under here to turn it off. It's right here. Wait, what is it? Oh no, it's in the back. That's the problem because people don't like you have to go on the right side of the back to get to that power button. So, but get over with. I don't think it's a big deal. What do you think, Marty? Is it a big deal? I know you use your power button more.
I use the power button. I turn my computers off more than anybody ever recommends. I just don't like leaving them on for any extended periods of time. However, the power button being on the bottom, I hadn't touched my Mac Mini M4 Pro for a couple of days and went to access it thinking I needed to turn the power button on, and it was already on.
Yeah.
So I guess I have been running it without turning it off. I heard there's an article that talked about there's just no space on the back of it.
Yeah, I was going to read
the flat back to actually mount a button on it. And the engineering design wouldn't allow that to happen. So that was the best logical place to put it.
Yeah.
I've seen designs where people are mounting them under their desks, so the power button is right there and available for them to touch. Yeah. There are those things that you can get on Etsy now, and I guess Belkin has created one that are attachments that allow you to, from the top, turn the power button off and on. Power button has been a great controversy. It's going to be that's going to be the sideshow of this really remarkable device.
Yeah, you're talking about, I have an article in the show notes here. Apple does explain why the power button is located on the bottom. It was an interview with John Turnus and Greg Jaws, and they basically said, well, we've shrunk the size of it so much, right? It's equivalent to half the size of the previous generation. So we needed to put the power button in the most appropriate spot because it is so small. It's convenient to press. Just tuck your finger in there and just hit the button. In fact, most important thing is you pretty much never use the power button on your Mac. I don't even remember the last time I turned on my Mac. So that's Apple's view of it. So yeah, people complain. They complained for the first week and then they'll get over it, right?
Yep. And they must have really thin fingers if they can get their finger underneath that thing without having to lift it up and push it.
Yeah.
Well,
so
I mean, they are actually grays, Marty.
They are actually what?
Grays.
Ah.
Aliens.
Oh.
Yeah, right.
Of course, you can just pull it out from the wall socket if you want to shut it off. Yep.
So the other interesting thing is, of course, iFixit has already done a teardown, as well as others have looked at it. They're seeing that the new Mac Mini is quote-unquote repairable future despite a compact design. When you tear it down, it actually has a SSD drive that looks like it's removable, right? Well, no, it has to have specific chips that are on the board in order for the Mac Mini to recognize it. So Apple, yeah, it can be replaced easily. More so, you're going to replace it with the same part. I watched the YouTube video. I thought this was the absolutely craziest thing I've ever seen. This guy desoldering the two chips and had converted his 256 gig solid state to 1 terabyte. And he's using solder and desolder. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to go down that road. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Yeah. And before people are waiting for third-party chips to come out, here's another thing to think about. The M4 and the M4 Pro use completely different SSD boards.
You can't swap them. So if you take an M4 Pro and put it into an M4, won't work?
Well, technically you could. The connector is the same, but there might be some issues because the form factor is different. And,
right.
One is a little bit fatter and shorter, and the other one's very narrow.
Yeah, so that was one of the more standout things that repairable. The iFixit did grade it, I think, at a 7 for repairability. When they did the teardown, it disassembled pretty easily. You can get to most things very easily. So always interesting to see how things tear down. So I'm very impressed with this product, and I'm very happy that I purchased them. So, and definitely see it. Last week when I was on the Mac show, I went to the store during the show and I said, oh, you know what? I'm going to do a live roving report at the Apple store during the Mac show. So that's on the British Tech Network that I'm on weekly here with Jeff Gamet and Patrice Brendamore and Chuck Joyner. So
tomorrow.
Yeah, they'll be on the show tomorrow. So I was there, and as I was making the purchase, I went live, and it was an interesting concept, and they didn't even care. I'm just live streaming with my iPhone, and we're just wrapping up the purchase. And the funny thing was the fact that he was using some sort of small, probably it could have been more than about its 14 or 15-inch TV, more or less, with an HDMI connector, using that to connect to my old Mac Minis to make sure that they're working properly. And he couldn't even figure out how to turn it on. So it was cool. I got at the store right when it opened. It was at 10 a.m. Central Time when I was there, and there was hardly anybody in the store. I was kind of surprised, honestly. There was probably maybe 5 or 10 people in the whole store, and that's unusual for an Apple store, especially when they have releases. But you know what? I don't think the excitement is as much on Macs as it is on usually iPads or iPhones when they have releases. So, but I got to go over to the section and go look at it. And once I made my purchase and got both of them in the bag ready to take home, and it was a good experience, as always it is at an Apple store. So check them out. I don't think there's any problem with stock. I haven't heard anything as far as not being able to get one. Again, I got the base models. 24 gigs of RAM on the M4 Pro is probably more than sufficient for most people. 16 gigs is now the base RAM now on all Macs, which is amazing because that was so crazy that they only had 8 gigs. Oh yeah, you don't need that much more memory on an M series processor. Oh yeah, you need more. 8 gigs isn't going to do it anymore. So Apple gave in. Every Mac in their Mac line is now at the base RAM is now 16 gigabytes. So that's great. Anything else anybody wants to add? Jill, have you had good experience with your Mac Mini so far?
Yeah, I mean, I have an old Mac Mini, not the new one. I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought you got the new one. I'm sorry.
Mac Mini. I got the iPad Mini, not the Mac Mini.
Gotcha.
So, but it makes me rethink I've always wanted to go down to one computer, which I'm at right now with my MacBook, and now I'm starting to think maybe next time I go around, it'll be Mac Mini.
Yep, I would highly recommend it. It's a really, really nice machine, and it's probably one of the best bargains you're going to find out there for as much power as it has, especially the $599 base model, which a lot of people, that's probably more than what they need. So, all right.
You know, the teardown video made me a little queasy.
Did it? Oh yeah,
because it was like, just take these really tiny screws out.
Yeah.
And then take some more tiny screws out, and then lift this out, and then to disconnect this, and then here's this foil.
The foil was the worst thing.
Foil thing where the guy just kind of peels it off
and it tears.
Like, okay. So you can see the teardown. I didn't watch the rest of the video. Did they put it back together when they were done?
I don't think so. Did they?
See, you never see that. Anybody can tear apart a toaster.
Okay. I have an alternate option here. Type in macsales.com. Look up Envoy Ultra Thunderbolt. Click add to cart. Buy. Wait a couple days. Plug in.
Right. So you don't need to get an extra expand your hard drive or make any changes as far as your RAM goes. Just use an external drive. That's what my plan was. I got plenty of external drives that I can easily plug in, and it's going to be perfectly good. I've got a lot of the OWC, the Envoy Express, that's got pretty amazing speeds as in itself, and so no reason to have to be messing around with upgrades. Just buy what you want and buy what you think you need. If you need to get more drive space, then do it. You can get 1 terabyte, but you're paying that Apple premium and $200 to go from 512 to 1 terabyte, which is crazy. So when you can buy a drive probably for half that.
Yeah, I think with that new feature that has Keep on My Mac, it makes everything much easier because there are files I'm literally working on and I don't want going. And so now I feel more comfortable getting a smaller hard drive because I know I can demand something stays on the Mac and keep the rest up in the cloud.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, let's move on to the news for this week. And this was breaking. This just got announced yesterday as we record this. Apple releases Final Cut Pro 11 for the Mac. Major launches of Final Cut Pro as well as the audio. Oh, why am I having a brain cramp? What that is?
Logic Pro.
Logic Pro. Sorry. Yeah, thank you. So those were both released with new versions. This is the first time that Final Cut Pro has been upgraded this big in 13 years, and they finally did it. Final Cut Pro is now going to take advantage of the full power of the M series chips. The magnetic mask, a new AI-powered tool, is going to let video editors isolate people and objects in video clips without a green screen or time-consuming rotoscoping. And magnetic mask is ideal for customizing backgrounds. So there's going to be a lot of more powerful features, definitely taking advantage of AI. And now it's going to support editing spatial video, which was we talked about earlier, which is huge. And with the iPhone 15 Pro and iPhone 16 models, or the Canon R7 camera has that as well. So, and then you compare it with the Vision Pro, the Mac Virtual Display can make it even more interesting in editing your spatial videos, or you're going to be actually looking at it through Vision Pro. So Final Cut Pro for iPad 2.1 was also upgraded. And that's improving the touch first editing experience by adding support for enhanced color and light, which redefines the color balance. And then there's a haptic feedback support for the Apple Pencil Pro and the Magic Keyboard, meaning users can get a light pulse when they're trimming clips and moving media and navigating the timeline and resizing viewer clips to snapping points. They've really come a long way with this, and I think I already have a license for it, so and that's another amazing thing. Apple did not make you pay an upgrade fee to upgrade it from 10 to 11. So if you already had a license, you're good to go. But if you don't have a license, and you do some serious video editing, it is expensive. It's $299.99 to purchase a license for it, but I think it's well worth it when it comes to that. Marty, what do you think?
I love it. And I'm still getting text messages as we record this from Eric explaining how he was able to do it in Final Cut Pro, putting it all together, then getting it over to Vimeo, where he thinks the compression has improved since then. We'll play with it and talk about it. I am lucky that I got in on it as an educational product.
Yeah.
Where it was, I think, 3 Final Cut Pro, the audio processor, audio program, and then a third, all bundled together for like $4.99. And so I got that on an educational, and all of that's been upgraded. So, I just turned it on and I had the new Final Cut version of Final Cut to do Spacial. So.
Excuse me. Ben, what do you think?
I think Apple did a really good job of skating to where the puck is going with this. Those AI enhancements are really going to cut down for the need of a lot of very expensive chroma keying gear, which is going to make, for a lot of YouTubers and content creators, things significantly less expensive and more accessible. And then, when spatial video is the thing, well, people are going to be ready for it.
How about you, Jill?
I do have Final Cut Pro, and I am starting to get into videos and doing YouTube videos, and I'm learning it. And so I'm very new at it, and I'm looking how the features work. And I updated it yesterday and started playing with the new features, and it looks great. I'm really excited about Final Cut Pro's new features. So I'm getting, like I said, I'm so new at it. I don't know if I'm using all the functionality as well as it could be, but I'm excited to try more.
Yep. The next story, we just talked about this earlier, but this is interesting. How to tell if you're using a slow iPhone charger. In iOS 18, Apple introduced a clever new way to identify the Apple iPhone charging setup if it's running less than optimal speeds. The feature appears directly in settings, making it easy to spot if you're not getting the fast possible charge. The battery section shows slow charger message, and then iPhone detects a slow charger in use, and you'll see charging periods with an orange bar. The visual indicator will appear in a 24-hour or 10-day battery usage views. So what makes a charger slow? If it's anything 7.5 watts or less, standard Qi 1 chargers, that's less than 10 watts, USB ports in cars or hubs, and chargers with multiple connections sharing power. So it's good to see that Apple is looking to finally tell you it's how long it's going to tell you how to charge without having to have a third-party device to really tell you. What do you think on this, Marty?
I have the bad habit of having chargers all over the house. So I have one here in the office. The phone comes out of my pocket. It sits on the charger. I go to the office. I have a charger at the office. I take it out of my pocket, put it on the charger. So I really don't pay much. And when I go to sleep at night in the bedroom, there's one on the side by my bed. So I never run into situations where I have to pay much attention to to what the charging is or how fast it is, because it's always very close to topped off. The only cases I run into that is if I'm all day at a conference and the battery power has gotten so good on this thing that I can do an all day at a conference without having a charger. And, I'll drain 50% of it, 70% of it by the time I go to bed and just charge it back up. So it's cool. I don't think I've looked at the battery charging section maybe 3 or 4 times to get information on it. Just drop it and let it go.
Okay. How about you, Ben?
Well, this is a way, we do not have the MFI program around much anymore. So this is a way to find out if the stuff you're paying for is actually what they advertise that you're paying for.
Yep. And you, Jill?
I think when I traveled for a living, this would have been great, knowing how much time I needed to get my phone. Like I'm sitting there in the airport charging, or I'm at the hotel charging. Now that I'm working from home, it's a little less urgent, but I'm glad that it's making it easier for people to see what time is involved, because sometimes time is of the essence,
Yeah, for sure. So, well, this is some improvement for those of you who like Apple Music Classical, but they did update it with CarPlay and Siri support. This was announced this week that it was updated today with CarPlay and Siri support, as well as the stability and performance improvements. The CarPlay support was briefly added to a previous version of Music Classical earlier this year, but then it was removed just hours later. So now with version 2.1, it's once again available for CarPlay, which is good for folks who like the classical music with the dedicated app. It's got the recommendations right in CarPlay, which is great, and the app is available, of course, for only iPhone and iPad, as well as Android, but not the Mac, which still makes no sense. But that is the case here. Any comments on that?
Yeah, Apple, I hope you're not asking or requiring credit for stuff you should have done when the app launched.
Yeah.
The fact that it's just getting CarPlay now and it's still not available on the app, are they putting people on the Apple Music Classical team as a punishment?
Hard to say. How about you, Jill?
I like classical music, so I'm excited that it's going to be on CarPlay now. I really don't understand the concept of splitting it off, but there must be a reason.
Well, it's because when they bought, what is it, Primephonic is the company they bought, and I think they wanted to have it as a separate app, because you can listen to some classical music in the Apple Music app, but not the full catalog like you can on this app. So
I'm excited to have more things on CarPlay.
Yeah. So this is interesting. It was just announced this week, or it was discovered. In iOS 18, Apple had introduced a feature that causes the iPhone to reboot every 3 days. Security researchers had confirmed in a demo videos that it proved that the iPhone left untouched for 72 hours will automatically restart. And then the forensics company here did write a blog post about this feature. So after a reboot, the iPhone is more difficult to break into with the forensic tools used by law enforcement and others, such as bad actors. There are multiple unlocked states for an iPhone, and that's at the passcode screen that has been previously unlocked by Face ID or Touch ID, which was easier to break into. So iPhone has now recently restarted is a before you first unlock state. That is when the iPhone is most secure, when all data is encrypted. A reboot will initialize if a device is in locked state, as being unlocked by Face ID or Touch ID, but now at the passcode screen. So Apple has not provided any details of this inactivity reboot, but it's been kept quiet about the addition of this feature. It was discovered when law enforcement officials noticed that iPhones spontaneously rebooted following the launch of iOS 18. 404 Media had last week, this is in Mac Rumors, this article shared a letter from officers from Detroit, Michigan, warning that other law enforcement about the new limitation, while police speculated that the reboot could be tied to the cellular network connectivity, and no, it's iPhone. So no more brute force attacking when it does it, because it's protected. What do you think, Ben?
This is one of those things where I find it strange that Apple said nothing, I mean, obviously, people were going to figure this out pretty quickly.
Yep.
Yeah. The feature makes sense. Apple Silence doesn't.
Yeah, makes sense. How about you, Jill?
Again, the reason I trust Apple and why I'm always interested in new things is how much they care about security. And every time they do something about security, I'm like, this is why I love you more than any other product. So I agree the silence is weird, but like I said, I'm glad they care about what happens in these situations.
Yeah. And Marty?
I don't disagree. I kind of disagree that the silence is weird. It's sort of what has been discovered here is something that won't affect us because we'll have our phones in front of us. And when they shut down or whatever, we know the passcode. We have the Face ID. It's not going to go for a 3-day period of time plugged in. And if it does, we come back and we have some additional steps we have to take. Bad actors don't have those capabilities. So the fact that it reboots and then makes it even more difficult seems like not something you'd want to publicize because it would only be information for bad actors. It wouldn't necessarily impact you or me or anybody on this panel. I just think it's cool that they're thinking about it's not just that the iPhone is lost, but somebody's got it plugged in for days and days and days trying to figure out what to do next with it, and it just gets harder and harder.
Yep.
I think this adds a complication for police officers and for legal situations where they've got a potential alleged criminal's phone and they can't hang on to it forever to get it opened up and used for getting information from it. So it makes it difficult on both ends for bad characters and for police who are trying, or law enforcement that's trying to get information off of it.
For sure. A few more stories here. Apple did release iPhone 16 and 16 Pro parts for those do-it-yourselfers repairs. They made it available this week, and it's available through its self-service repair store in the U.S. and many European countries. It's only 7 weeks after the device had been launched. There are parts and tools available for repairing or replacing the iPhone 16's display, battery, rear camera system, true depth camera for Face ID, back glass, bottom and top speakers, main microphone, and more. Toolkits are available to rent for 7 days, just like they did before. And they're for all 4 iPhone 16 models with U.S. prices setting at $49 for each kit. Apple has already shared repair manuals for its 16 models in September, and now you can get the necessary parts. If you remember, Apple back in 2022 announced this Apple self-service program, which provides customers access to genuine parts, tools, and manuals to repair select iPhones and Macs, as well as the Studio display. And the company said it's intended for individuals who are experienced with the complexities of repairing electronic devices. Some of the repair manuals on Apple's website have warnings outlining important information, such as safety risks. And I will tell you, I will never repair my Mac device. So I'll say that right now. I'll leave it to the professionals. What do you think, Ben?
This is to keep the right to repair people and states happy.
Yeah, basically.
Period.
Jill, what do you think?
I could see a 20-year-old version of me being all over this and wanting to try it, but now, no.
Not for what these things cost. Marty?
But I mean, imagine if you had like an 8, and the 8 was working, but you smashed the screen. And so you're going to have to get a new one because it's an 8. But maybe I could try to fix the screen and maybe get another couple years out of it. I could see in my impoverished ages of wanting to do something like that, where I'd want to fix an 8 and see if I could get some more time out of it.
Yep.
I don't know.
Marty?
With these skills, stop repairing phones and become a brain surgeon or something that requires that little manual dexterity and ability that you have. Yeah, I wouldn't go to a third party to even attempt to do this, nor would I do it myself.
Yep.
I've seen too many problems with third party repairs for friends who can't take it in and are looking for a cheaper way to get a screen replaced.
Yeah. Cost you more money, so you'll break it very easily. All right. 2 more stories here. In cord-cutting news, Amazon is officially shutting down its free streaming service, Freevee, which is the dumbest name I've ever known. After many months of rumors, Amazon made it official. They're going to be shutting down Freevee, and they're just going to integrate it all into Prime Video, which makes total sense. So they had originals like Jury Duty, Bosch, Legacy, and Judy Justice, and all this content will be fully integrated into Prime Video. It was confirmed this week, and the move comes as a surprise following the Amazon's introductions of ads to the Prime Video earlier this year, so that kind of blurred the lines between the two services. So now that they've incorporated it, so it's going to be involved in that, and there'll be no layoffs during this consolidation, and all the content will just be moved into it. So if you remember, Freevee used to originally launch as Free Dive in 2019. They went under several rebranding, including IMDb. Amazon's never specified the viewership data, but I can guarantee you, ever since they signed on the beloved Judge Judy with Judy Justice, which it's just amazing to this day how many ratings she gets with her show. 25 years on CBS, and then moved over to streaming, and she's on the 4th season coming up here with her show. So you definitely have some popularity of shows on there. So what do you think, Ben?
To be perfectly honest, the people that watch this, I think it might actually make a big deal for, because honestly, the people who are literate when it comes to streaming apps,
right,
are usually not the ones watching these free services. It's the people like my father who are going to be like, "Oh, where's Freevee now? Where can I get my content now?"
Yeah. I'm curious to know, though, that this isn't mentioned. Are you going to have a Prime Video subscription to be able to see this?
Yeah, that's another good question.
Yeah.
And what about...
It doesn't look like it from the article. It looks like these will be marked as free and available. What do they say?
They do
for
that.
free designation. Yeah.
They've got a lot of content that you can watch for free that you don't have if you don't have a subscription to Prime Video. Go ahead, Marty.
Oh, I just, first of all, I'm stunned that you know that Judge Judy has had 4 seasons.
I follow media.
Streaming.
What can I say? All right, I watch it. I'll admit it.
I actually think this is good for Judge Judy. It's good for Ben's dad, because Freeview, or whatever it was called, Freevee, the branding just isn't there.
Dumb.
So Amazon's got it. It's now on Amazon Video. The branding carries a lot, not only because more people will probably be exposed to some of these shows, and frankly, the people who produce the shows now have their stuff is being streamed by something that has a larger brand.
Well, the thing is, it was already, you could go to Prime Video and watch it from within Prime Video anyway. It had its own standalone Freevee app. So I follow streaming too, so that's why I know a lot of stuff. But if you remember, I did do a presentation on streaming and next.
Yeah, I know you did. It's the detail of Judge Judy that gets me.
Well, I admitted it publicly now. I do watch Judge Judy Justice.
Okay, so who's her bailiff? What's her bailiff? He always calls him.
It's not Bird anymore. It's Kevin, I think it is.
Oh, okay. All right. Just testing.
And she has her granddaughter on there too. And they go into the chambers and talk about the case afterwards. So they've made it a lot more interesting compared to the way the old show was. So it was over and that was the end of it. Go ahead, Jill. What do you think?
I was going to say, it's interesting because I was wondering, what is this Freevee business? And Bosch is great. Jury Duty was fantastic.
Yeah, it was fun.
There's a few shows I watch on this, and I never understood, why would you separate it from your superstar Amazon brand and put it off into this other thing? I think it's a great idea, and like I said, they've had good shows on there, so I'm excited.
Yeah,
to see them merge it in. Yeah.
Last story: Apple Arcade is adding these 15 new games through early January of 2025. During the upcoming holiday season, there will be 3 Final Fantasy titles: Pac-Man 256, Boggle Arcade Edition, Gears and Goo, and more. Accessible through the App Store. The Apple Arcade is a subscription-based service, which is part of the separate. You can buy it from $6.99 a month, or it's bundled with their Apple One plans, which I have through my Apple One bundle. And I'm not going to read off every single one of these, but there's, I think, notably what I just mentioned as far as games goes. It'll be interesting to see more games. I'm completely addicted to the solitaire game from Apple Arcade and play it daily. So, but it's good to see that there are some. Apple Arcade obviously is getting some traction. You're getting attracted to these game titles. What do you think, Ben?
This is great for the lighter fare. However, if you have a mouse that looks like this, this ain't doing
a gaming mouse. He just showed. How about you, Marty?
I'm not a big gamer. My question really was for Ben. Is it something about these games that play better on a faster processor? So if this part of the the new phone experience that they're able to release these games, or
these are games you might be able to play on an iPhone 1.
Oh, okay. All right.
There you go.
Well, skip all that. David, you've got an Apple Vision Pro. Play backgammon in an arcade in 3D.
Yeah, I just downloaded that game,
Yeah.
the 3D. I can't figure out how to get out of that app though. It's got all those games in it.
Yeah, you just push the button.
Well, there wasn't. I couldn't find it. Oh, the button. Okay, I did that, but the music was still playing. I'll figure it out. Jill, you have the final word.
All right. Well, I love games, and I play No Man's Sky and Diablo and all the big games and on big computers and everything like that. But the bottom line is I don't have time anymore. I have all the podcasts I'm doing, working full time. So the little iPhone games, iOS games, but all I have time for. So I'm glad to see these come in. And some of these I've played similar or other versions of it, and they're all good games. So yeah.
Yep. Well, check them out. So, all right, this has been great. Another great show has come to a close here for this week. Lots of great information, great discussion, and we're so glad everybody's here. But that's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, which is feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Mastodon at intouchwithios, at techhangout.social. Support the show. Buy me a coffee at intouchwithios.com/coffee. We would really appreciate it. You can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/intouchwithios. We have 2 tiers to support the show. We'd really appreciate it. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you are notified when we are live streaming, which is Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/intouchwithios, where you can watch the current and past live streams as well as listen to past shows. Visit In Touch with iOS magazine on Flipboard, where many of the topics we discussed are flipped into that magazine. The link is in our show notes. You can subscribe to the show in your favorite podcatcher, including Pocket Casts, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, and many others. But better yet, just go to our website, intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are on that website. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Mastodon at DaveG65 at mastodon.cloud. Jill McKinley, again, always a pleasure having you on the show. Where can people find you?
My website is abetterlifeinsmallsteps.com. That's where all my podcasts are, and I'm just dabbling into YouTube, and I can be found on Twitter, X. There you go.
All right. Ben Roethig, so glad to have you back this week. Where can people find you?
You can find me at Ben Roethig on your social media of choice. You can find my writings and ravings at roethig.tech. On on the podcast side, you can find me most Thursdays here on In Touch with iOS. You can find me occasionally, depending on my work schedule, on the Mac Voices Live with Chuck Joyner and the Big and Mac shows on the British Tech Network.
British Tech Network. I'm with you too. All right, thank you. And then last but certainly not least, Marty Jencius, it's always a pleasure having you here. Where can people find you?
Let's go Jencius at bluesky.social. Since we're doing a run on Blue Sky, I guess, these last couple of weeks.
1 million added subscribers.
And Tuesday nights on Mac Voices with Chuck. Thursdays here on In Touch with iOS. Dave, this is great. It's always the kind of end of the week for me, and I love it. And then 2 podcasts that I'm really engaged in. Monday nights with Eric Bolden on Vision Profiles, and then a new one on Wednesday nights called Old Mac Gang. And the panelists are between the age of 67 and 87. And it's fun. It's short. We keep it to like 30 minutes.
Nice.
And we talk about Mac and Apple issues that are related to sort of the older population. Previous show we did was on hearing tests and hearing aids. We're going to start a series on troubleshooting and different things you can use to troubleshoot.
Fun.
But it's fun to have these guys join us with the show. So all the podcasts you can find at thepodtalk.net.
Great. Thank you so much, Marty, for being here. And thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Appreciate everybody who's been here. And we enjoyed doing the show. I hope you enjoyed listening to it and watching it. Until next time, thanks for listening, watching, and we'll talk again soon.